Yeah, listener, I mean, a couple thoughts on that. Number one, bare knuckles is a different sport. You know, MMA guys like to think they're bare knuckle guys, but they're not, right? Like, jujitsu actually removes a lot of the nastiness of striking that can be there. You know, boxing does too in its own way, but right, you go in bare knuckle, there's no more gloves to cover up with at all. Like the UFC at least has 4 ounce gloves. So listen, Jeremy's tough. Look, I saw Jeremy, if I'm not mistaken, beat Dos Anjos in live in Vegas. So I've known how tough this guy is for a long time. He was in with Alliance in San Diego. Now, unfortunately, I never got to train at Alliance. I trained at Blackline, which is one of their affiliates, with Lambert, with Beltron. Never got to see Jeremy Stevens, but you know, as Lambert said, a midget's a midget, right? You're a smaller guy. You're not gonna fight or compete with the bigger guys. That's just not the way. That's why there's weight classes in the sport. So obviously, he's a brutal guy for a small guy. I am all about him coming back to the UFC, and part of it is I want every athlete to take any shot they want, unless they're obviously punch drunk. Like, you know, Ferguson at a point was done. It was like, okay, let's stop this and let's move on to something else. But you know, Jeremy Stevens hasn't shown that. If anything, he's beaten some incredible guys during a long career, and beating Eddie Alvarez in bare knuckle was another example of that. Now, Eddie Alvarez relied a lot on his cage control, wrestling, to be successful at striking. And I think when he went up against really good strikers, Gil chopped him up in the first round. I mean, Conor McGregor knocked him out, right? Like, that's not his fight. He's more of an MMA guy. Jeremy Stevens, I think, is a fighter anywhere you put him. So yeah, it's cool, man. But most importantly, I'm glad the UFC's allowing it. You know, UFC is kind of very bitter with their people and whatnot, and it explains the class action lawsuit. I mean, they don't like people coming back. If you come in from another organization, they're going to mismatch you, which they did with Alvarez against Stroni, which they did with Pitbull against Jair Rodriguez. It's like, I'm going to give you the worst matchup possible so we can remind you that the UFC is the top and you are not so good. And that's just the way they behaved for a long time, from the beginning until they just did it to Pitbull. But you know, man, look, people are petty. That's what ego is. That's a lot of what my books are about. You know, human nature and the ego that gets involved in that. And make no mistake, obviously Dana White has showed us he's got a big ego. So it's a big step that guys like Jeremy Stevens are coming back. It's probably Hunter's influence, but what do I know? I'm not behind the scenes. So yeah, it's cool, man. I like it. I hope they allow more guys back, and we'll see what they can do. Crafty veterans. Everybody read my book, Warrior of the Light.